Welcome to another episode of Historical Markers. Today we're still going through the Chickamauga battlefield, and right now I'm standing in the Poe Road area. This particular marker behind me is on Poe Road, and I hope you have been enjoying this series. Like, subscribe, and let's see what else we can find in this battlefield area. Here's the 19th Indiana Battery, 2nd Brigade, 4th Division, 14th Corps. Here's the 101st Regiment, Indiana Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 4th Division, 14th Corps. This is King's Brigade. The brigade first formed west of the Lafayette Road and facing it being in echelon to the right and rear of Turchin's Brigade, and connecting with the left of Brannan's division. There was a heavy attack after 10 a.m. from Stewart's troops, which after severe fighting was repulsed. Upon the retreat of Brannan, King's Brigade was moved across the road until its left joined Turchin's right, which had been refused, and its line then faced the Poe House, where it remained with serious engagement during the early afternoon. Here's another large monument to the 68th Indiana Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 4th Division, 14th Corps. Beautiful picture on the front of it. This is Indiana's tribute to her 68th Regiment Infantry, Captain Harvey, J.S.B. commanding. Near noon, September 19th, this regiment was severely engaged 200 yards east of Lafayette Road, southeast of Browerton's house. Sunday, September 20th, the regiment was engaged at 10 a.m. on the line where this monument stands, repulsing a prolonged attack. After the withdrawal of the brigade, it was ordered soon after sundown to Snodgrass Hill, where it remained until the Union troops were withdrawn. Total loss was 137. And here was the field headquarters for the 14th Army Corps, Major General George H. Thomas, during the day on September 19th of 1863. Right next to Lafayette Road. And then here's another sign right in front of it that says General Thomas's headquarters. Here's another marker that says to the opening of the battle first day. There was another one just slightly down the road. Looks like it's about the same information. And this is the route of Baird's and Johnson's division to the first day's battle. Would have been headed through these woods. Here's another rock marker for Indiana. This is the 68th Regiment Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 4th Division, 14th Corps, Sunday, September 20th, 1863, from 12 midnight to 5 p.m. out here in these woods. This is King's Brigade. Upon the retreat of two brigades of Brannan's division from the vicinity of the Poe House after the break at the Union Center, General Reynolds moved King's Brigade to the left and across the Lafayette Road and formed it in front of the Kelly Field facing south. It was not seriously engaged during the afternoon. About 5 p.m., Colonel King was killed and Colonel Robinson took command. About 5:30, it withdrew with a division passing north on Lafayette Road to the field south of McDonald's, where at sunset it took part with Turchin's Brigade in a charge northward up on the flank of Little's division. Forcing it east of the Lafayette Road, it then proceeded to Rossville near Mullis Hill. The 68th and 101st Indiana were detached to cover Brannan's withdrawal from Snodgrass Ridge. Then here's the rock for Indiana. 101st Regiment Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 4th Division, 14th Corps, Sunday, September 20th, from 12:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. And then we have another one over there. I'll have to see if I can get to it. Baird's Division, Thomas's Corps. This division, following Negley's and followed by Brennan's and Reynolds divisions, left the vicinity of Bird's Mill in the afternoon of September 18th and reached Crawfish Springs at midnight. Here it passed Negley's division, which was turned to the right at that point towards Glass's Mill, and marching through the night via Widow Glen's, reached the Lafayette Road at this point at daylight of September 19th. The division first went into position facing south, Starkweather's brigade being west of the Lafayette Road, Scribner's next east of it, and King's on the left of Scribner's. Soon after daylight, Brannan's division arrived in the vicinity of Kelly's house, and the two brigades soon after sunrise advanced on the farm road from McDonald's house to Reed's Bridge. The remaining brigade, having moved directly on Jay's Mill, Baird's line, east of the Lafayette Road, then changed front and formed parallel to this road, fronting eastward. Soon after 8 o'clock, Brennan's troops, having become engaged in the direction of Jay's Mill and Reed's brigade, Baird's line, with Starkweather following in column, moved rapidly to Brannan's support and became engaged on his right, then in the vicinity of Jay's Mill about 9 o'clock. Starkweather's brigade relieving Croxton's of Brannan's division. And we made it across to this Indiana marker for the 75th Regiment Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 4th Division, 14th Corps, Sunday, September 20th, 1863, from 10 a.m. to midnight. And it's literally out here in the middle of the woods. Here we have four more cannons facing southward. And this is for Battery H, 4th U.S. Artillery. You can see another great big monument there in the background. In the morning of this day, the September 19th, 1863, the battery moved from near Lee and Gordon's Mill, joined Gross's brigade near Poe's about noon, and immediately moved into action. Lieutenant Robert Floyd, with one section, took position on the ridge southeast of this line to the left center of the brigade. And Lieutenant Cushing took the other section to the right of the brigade on the same ridge. Fighting commenced immediately and was very severe, resulting in the retirement of the enemy. Firing having ceased in front but increasing on the right, the battery moved at a gallop and reported to General Reynolds, took position to the left of the 19th Indiana Battery, south of this position, and opened on the advancing enemy. Checking him at that point, the enemy then gained ground to his left, advancing in tremendous force, enfilading and forcing back the line of batteries. The battery then reported to General Hazen, who was forming a new line, M of the 4th, F of the 1st, Ohio, and this battery were massed obliquely across the road at this place, covering the enemy's approach. His appearance was the signal for a most rapid and destructive fire from these batteries checking this advance. The battery bivouacked in the Kelly Field. Casualties: one officer, Lieutenant Floyd, fatally wounded. Palmer's Division, Crittenden's Corps. The northward advance of Stewart's troops from in front of Brotherton's was met at this point by several batteries aggregating 20 guns. These batteries, supported by fragments of infantry regiments hastily formed, became desperately engaged with Bates Brigade of Stewart's division and finally repulsed Bate about 5 p.m. Meantime, under the direction of General Palmer, Gross's brigade was reformed, and Cruft being withdrawn from the front, the division lines were established near this position for the night. At dusk, both Cruft and Hazen were dispatched to assist Johnson's and Baird's divisions, which were furiously assailed at that hour by Cleburne. Their services were not needed, and at the close of the affair, these brigades returned and bivouacked near this point. This is a Tennessee marker for the 20th Regiment Infantry, Bates Brigade, Stewart's Division, from 11:30 a.m., September 20th, 1863. Here we have Bates Brigade. At about 11 o'clock, Bates Brigade moved from beyond the first crest in the woods east of this position and at once became engaged with Union troops in line west of the Lafayette Road at the Poe place. The advance through the open field was made under a fire which occasioned heavy loss. The left of the brigade crossed the road but was repulsed by the troops in the railworks west of the Poe field. The right was subjected to an oblique fire from E.A. King's brigade and from a flank and rear fire from Turchin's brigade. After an hour's fighting and a loss of 30% of those engaged, the brigade fell back to its morning position where it remained until the general advance shortly before sunset. And if you look in front of me, those cars driving by are on Lafayette Road, but the cars parked beyond that are on Poe Road. So I'm assuming Poe's place was somewhere down that road. This marker is for the Georgia 37th Infantry, Colonel A.F. Rudler, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Smith, Bates Brigade, Stewart's Division, 11:30 a.m. on September 20th of 1863. This marker is for the 75th Regiment, Indiana Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 4th Division, 14th Corps. A couple of cannons around it. This marker is for Battery M, 4th U.S. Artillery, 3rd Brigade, 2nd Division, 21st Corps. It says Battery M, 4th U.S. Artillery, 1st Lieutenant F. something, commanding Gross's Brigade, Palmer's Division, Crittenden's Corps, was engaged September 19th and 20th, 1863. Here the battery performed its most important service. Casualties enlisted, men killed 2, wounded 6, horses killed or disabled was 13. And you can see the flag and the tool to tamp in the cannon. Battery M, 4th U.S. Artillery. At 11 o'clock a.m., the battery moved from its position near Lee and Gordon's Mill, joined Gross's brigade at Poe's about noon, and immediately advanced into action in rear of the brigade, which was in double line. After marching several hundred yards, Colonel Gross ordered the battery into position on the crest of the ridge southeast of this position. Immediately oncoming into battery, the brigade was attacked and the guns were ordered to be fired down the hill over the heads of the infantry. The enemy finally withdrew and the firing ceased for some time. About 3 o'clock, the enemy moved up a second time in heavy force. At this period, they could be seen distinctly, and loading with canister, the battery fired as rapidly as possible. The attack was too heavy to be resisted, and the infantry falling back, the battery limbered up and retired to this position, forming on right of Cushing's battery. The enemy continued to advance. The batteries on this line, from some 20 guns, opened with canister and speedily repulsed him. The battery bivouacked with the brigade in the Kelly Field. Indiana, 74th Regiment Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 3rd Division, 14th Corps, Saturday, September 19th, 1863 at 3:30 p.m. 105th Ohio Infantry, Colonel Edward A. King's Brigade, Reynolds Division, 14th Army Corps. Beautiful image on the front. September 19th, 1863, from about 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., this regiment, Major George I. Perkins, commanding, was engaged about 600 yards east of the Brotherton House. The success of the enemy at that time on that part of the line compelled it to retire, and it was rallied and reformed in this position, which it also occupied on the 20th till about 1 p.m. when the retirement of Brannan's division to Snodgrass Hill made it necessary to take a more refused position facing south. Loss: killed 3, wounded 41, captured or missing 26 for a total of 70. Indiana, 10th Regiment Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 3rd Division, 14th Corps, Sunday, September 20th, 1863, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Croxton's Brigade. This brigade moved before daylight of the 20th of September from its bivouac near the Dyer House to this line, where it formed with Connell's Brigade on its right. Croxton's Brigade and Reynolds Division were attacked about 11 a.m. by Stewart's Division, which after severe fighting withdrew to its first position. Before noon, Croxton was driven from his position by Hood's division of Longstreet's Corps, supported by McLaw's division, which had advanced into the gap in the Union line on the right of the division and had attacked it in flank. 2 regiments of the brigade, the 10th and the 74th Indiana, after facing to the rear, vigorously attacked the enemy, which had turned the right and subsequently withdrew to the left and joined Reynolds' division east of the Kelly Field. Parts of the rest of the brigade fell back and took position on Snodgrass Hill. Strength in action, September 19th, 2,401 officers and men. Totally casualties for the battle: killed 131, wounded 728, captured or missing 79, for a total of 938. Which is a percentage loss of 39%. Battery G, 1st Ohio Light Artillery. At 7 a.m., the battery took position in the rear line of the brigade as the enemy attacked. Lieutenant Turner's section moved to this position and opened fire, being joined soon after by the rest of the battery. About 11 a.m., the enemy appeared marching by the flank across the front and about 600 yards distance. The battery opened fire upon him. Changing direction, he attacked the line of the battery, and after capturing nearly all of the 4th Michigan Battery and driving away the infantry, he pushed to within 100 yards of the right piece. Changing direction of fire to the right oblique, the battery threw canister with great rapidity and fine effect. The enemy soon fell back, and the support resumed their position on the right of the battery. 15 minutes later, the enemy again advancing perpendicularly to its original front, and to within 100 yards, the supports gave way. The battery moved to the left and rear, where it joined the troops of General Negley and moved with them to Rossville. Casualties: killed 4 men, wounded 9, horses killed and captured 26. Lost a James gun, a caisson, and the rear parts of caissons. And this is Battery C, 1st Ohio Light Artillery, Croxton's Brigade, Brannan's Division, 14th Army Corps. Brannan's Division, Thomas's Corps. Before daylight on the 20th, Croxton's and Connell's brigades were brought forward from their bivouac on the slope west of Dwyer's house and placed in line west of Poe's house and between Reynolds and Negley's divisions. Early in the morning, Vanderveer's brigade was placed in reserve on the east edge of Dwyer Field, and at about 10 o'clock was dispatched toward Baird and struck Breckinridge's division at the Lafayette Road, marching south through the Kelly Field, and assisted in repulsing it. At 11:30 o'clock, Brannan's line was attacked on the right and in rear by Hood's division of Longstreet's column, driven from the field, and parts of Connell's and Croxton's brigades rallied on Snodgrass Hill. There's the 31st Ohio Infantry, 1st Brigade, 3rd Division, 14th Army Corps. The 31st Regiment, Ohio Infantry, September 19, 1863, about 10 a.m. This regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Frederick W. Lister commanding, was sent to reinforce Croxton's brigade, then engaged near Jay's Mill and went into action on the left of that brigade. It afterward, about 11 a.m., took part in the recapture of the 4th Indiana Battery and continued in action till about 2 p.m. September 20th occupied this position till about 12 midnight, when the enemy penetrated our lines to the right and this position, and the regiment was broken and forced to retire. Detachments of the regiment under Captains J.A. Cahill and J.H. McCune and Lieutenants Eli Wilkins, A.S. Scott, and J.J. Miller were rallied and fought on Snodgrass Hill until the close of the battle. The 14th Ohio Infantry, 2nd Brigade, 3rd Division, 14th Army Corps. This regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Henry D. Kingsbury commanding, engaged the enemy early September 19, 1863, on the right of the brigade near Jay's Saw Mill, and continued in action until the brigade was relieved, about 11:30 a.m. Its loss during the day was 29 killed, 137 wounded, and 31 missing. September 20th, it occupied this position until 12 midnight, when it was broken by the enemy penetrating our lines to the right. It was not reformed again as a regiment, but detachments rallied and fought on Snodgrass Ridge till night. Total loss in the engagement: killed 35, wounded 167, captured or missing 43. Well, that was another episode from the Chickamauga National Park, and there is just so many markers in this park and so many areas. You really need to come visit. I've got several more markers to find, and so just come along with me and we'll find more markers and see what else there is here to see.